We are going to take notes on how to solve absolute value inequalities. So the first one let's look at is disjunction, which you know is an OR statement. It's a disjunction when we have the sign greater than, or equal to. So greater than, or equal to. So we're going to take our absolute value inequality and we're going to convert it to a disjunction, and we use the word or. And just a reminder, our inequality signs face the opposite way. So step 1 is only if necessary. Similar to absolute value equations, we only need to isolate the absolute value expression if necessary. We are going to write two separate inequalities, okay, which are shown up here. This is the first one, or this is the second one. Okay, the only difference here, I have a positive c, and over here I have a negative c, similar to absolute value equations. But remember, when we make this a negative, we had to flip our inequality sign. Okay, so step 1 would be to drop the absolute value bars. And that's it. Then number 2, so I'm going to write the word or in here, 1, and then the word or, and then step 2, we drop the absolute value bars. Make sure we flip or switch, change, reverse the inequality sign, and we make it a negative number. Then we're going to solve each inequality for the variable, and usually it's x. Okay, so if I go back up here, notice my first one from here to here, I just dropped my inequality sign. Okay, then I drop my inequality sign, I drop my absolute value bars, we drop the absolute value bars, we flip the inequality sign, and we make this a negative c. Okay, from here to here, drop the absolute value bars. Okay, from here to here, drop the absolute value bars, switch or flip your inequality sign, make this a negative c. And then just a reminder, since this is a disjunction, it's an or statement, we shade outward or opposite ways on our number line. So let's walk through an example. The absolute value of 3x minus 6. Then remember, my sign has to be greater than, and then I'm going to put or equal to 9. So this is a disjunction. So last week in the book, greater than, we shaded outwards. Disjunction is greater than, we shade out. So step 1, drop your absolute value bars. That's my first question. Or drop your absolute value bars, flip your inequality sign because I'm making this a negative 9 this time. Okay, so in order to solve, remember these are two separate questions, so I'm going to solve them separately. I want to keep my two sides balanced, so I'm going to draw lines down. And our goal here, we're trying to get this 3x alone first. Add 6. So we get 3x is greater than or equal to 15. Divide both sides by 3. x is greater than or equal to 5. That's the first part. The second question, we're going to add 6 as well. (3x) is less than or equal to -9 plus 6, -3. We want x alone, and x is being multiplied by 3, so the opposite, divide by 3. And we get x is less than or equal to -1. I'm going to write the word or in the middle and box in my final answers. Let's fill in our number line here. I have a closed circle at 5. Color it in because we are included or equal to. I need x values greater than that, so I'm going to shade to the right. I have a closed circle at -1 because I'm or equal to it. And I'm all x values less than that, so I'm shading to the left. Disjunction. Disconnected. The second column of our note sheet, we're going to look at conjunctions, which is an and inequality. So a conjunction is when we have less than or equal to. So notice our signs, less than or equal to. And we have dropped our absolute value bars from here to here. And notice I have a -c on this sign, on this side, and I had to put in another sign. Okay, same thing here. I've gotten rid of my absolute value bars. I put a -c on this side, and I plug in another sign. And just remember from before, our inequality signs face the same direction. So let's walk through the steps here. Step 1, if necessary, is to isolate our absolute value expression. So get rid of anything that's in front of it or behind it. And then this time we write one compound inequality, one condensed conjunction. And we're going to start by dropping our absolute value bars like before. Rewrite everything that we're left with. And then on the left-hand side, we're going to write the negative number. And then we also need to write in our inequality sign. Step 3, solve the inequality for the variable. And remember, we perform operations to all 3 columns, to all 3 parts, the left, the middle, and the right. And when we graph these, we shade to connect the points on the number line. So let's start with a 2, and then the absolute value of x minus 4 is less than 6. So we are trying to get the absolute value expression x minus 4 with the bars by itself. So what's out in front of it? A 2. So we need to divide by 2 because they're smushed together, they're being multiplied. Divide by 2 over here. And let's simplify. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now I can move on to step 2, which says drop the absolute value bars, rewrite everything. And then on the left side over here, this one's positive 3. So remember, we need to have a negative 3, just like absolute value equations, one positive, one negative. And I'm going to put my sign in between those two that faces the same way as the other one. So in order to keep myself organized, I'm going to draw 2 lines down. And then it kind of reminds me that whatever I do here, I have to do to the 2 outside parts. Okay, so we're going to work inside out. Why are we working from the inside? Well, because that's where our x is. And I need that x to be isolated or alone. Currently, there's a minus 4. So the opposite, add 4 from the middle, on the left, and on the right side. So negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Bring down my sign and my x. 3 plus 4 is 7. X is all alone in the middle, so I know that that's my final answer. Let's fill in our number line, and then we're going to graph this. So an open circle at 1, open circle at 7, and let's shade in the middle to connect them because x is in between. It's greater than 1 and it's less than 7. All right. Let's look at question 1, and I'll help you with how to set this up. So question 1 says, which x values are greater than 6 units away from 1? Conjunction or disjunction? You might have to flip it over as well. This is a greater than sign, so this is a disjunction. So we're going to write 2 separate inequalities. So the first one, we're going to drop our absolute value bars. Write the word or. Drop my absolute value bars. I need to make this a negative 6, and now that we made it a negative 6, we have to flip our inequality symbol. And then solve these separately, which you know how to do that. And then I would like you to graph it as well. Okay, I'm going to help you with the setup for question 2. And then you can solve it and graph it, just like we did in lesson 3.3, and we have another note sheet for that. So this is which x values are less than or equal to 5 units away from negative 4. So because this is less than or equal to, we know that this is a conjunction. So I'm going to drop my absolute value bars. If I have a positive 5 over here I'm going to write a negative 5. And then plug in my sign that faces the same direction. And I'm going to solve this working from the inside out. And when I'm done, I'm going to graph. Now, you're going to notice that the first column, they're all disjunctions. And the second column is all conjunctions. Or if you go 1, 2, 3, 4 and solve them in order, you're going back and forth. Conjunction, disjunction, conjunction, disjunction. So if you want to work down the page and do all your disjunctions first, that's fine. Do what works best for you.